Government jobs are desired because of their benefits and the pension. A pension is guaranteed money for the rest of your life. It hits your bank account every single month. But which states have the best pension? And how does that compare with a federal government pension? The answers might surprise you. Today we're covering the top 5 states that offer the best pensions. Number 5 is New York State. In all of these calculations, we're going to make a few assumptions. We're going to assume that you work 25 years and that your salary is $100,000 a year towards the end of your career. We're also going to assume you're not a firefighter, you're not a law enforcement officer, or a teacher, because the calculations for that is completely different. In New York State, a government employee would earn a pension of $43,000 a year or $3,600 a month. And the calculation would look like this. The state of New York employs about 150,000 state government employees. The average salary for these employees is about $72,000 a year. It takes 5 years to be fully vested in their pension. Now, New York has been having some issues lately when it comes to recruiting and retaining qualified individuals. And it's because of this issue that they're waiving the cost of the civil service exam. Now, this might seem strange if you haven't looked for state government employment, but a lot of state governments, they require you to take an exam. The federal government, they don't require it. Okay, number 4 is Michigan. The state of Michigan has about 45,000 state government employees. The average salary here is only $49,000 a year, and it takes a full 10 years in order to be fully vested in their government pension. So that same person from New York, if they worked in Michigan, they would have earned themselves a pension of $37,000 a year or $3,100 a month. This state has also been experiencing difficulties when it comes to hiring people into their state government. One of the main reasons is the lower salaries. Now, Michigan is not a high cost living state. You probably can get by on $40,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on where you live. Obviously, more rural could be more cheaper. Number 3 is California. The state of California has almost 250,000 state government employees, which makes it the largest workforce out of any state. Also, the average salary here for their government employees is $114,000 per year. Now, it takes 5 years to be fully vested in their pension system. So the same person would have earned themselves a pension of $50,000 a year or $4,100 a month. This seems like a pretty decent amount for a pension, $50,000 a year, and this is not even considering Social Security benefits, which could add another $20,000, $25,000 on top. You could be looking at $75,000 in retirement. Not bad, right? But keep in mind, we're talking about California, one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive state in the entire country. So unless you're going to take this pension and then maybe relocate to a low-cost area, it might not be enough. Number 2 is Tennessee. The state of Tennessee currently employs about 40,000 government employees. Average salary here is $61,000 a year. It takes 5 years to be fully vested in their pension system. The same person would have earned themselves a pension of $37,000 a year or $3,100 a month. Tennessee was struggling with hiring all the way up until 2022. That's when they were able to roll out some of their cash incentives. So there's sign-on bonuses of $4,000, $5,000 in certain departments like the Department of Correction. There's a sign-on bonus for that. And because they started to unroll those incentives, they increased their hiring by 30% recently. Number 1 is Nebraska. The state of Nebraska currently has 93,000 state government employees. The average salary for a government employee in this state is $55,000 a year. And the best thing about Nebraska working for the government is you're fully vested after 3 years. It's the fastest that you can get it done in any state. The only state that's close to this would be Utah. In Utah, you're fully vested after 4 years. A person working for the government of Nebraska, they would have earned themselves a pension of $50,000 a year or $4,100 a month. This is the same amount as the California pension, except you don't have to deal with the high cost. Nebraska, if you compare the two states, Nebraska is about 60% cheaper than California. So I guess that means you should pack up your bags and make some plans to get out to Nebraska. Well, hold on. Before you leave any state chasing after employment opportunities, you got to look. There's some things that you have to keep in mind. First is the price of housing. Next is the state income tax. What are the tax regulations in that new place? Can you rent affordably? Can you buy a house affordably? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Now in Nebraska, you probably can, but there might be some other things that you don't like. Maybe it's the economical opportunities for your significant other in that region. Maybe it's the schools. So you have to do like a comprehensive research checklist before you commit to any one state. Each one of these state pensions we just reviewed, they're all better than the federal government pension. If you look at the federal government pension, the factor that you're multiplying your calculation by is 1% or 1.1%. Now, if you're in law enforcement, it can be higher than that. But generally speaking, you're multiplying by a factor of 1. Now, all the states we talked about today, they were between 1.5 and 2. And that makes a huge difference. That's 50% to 100% larger. So if you were to take a federal government employee using the same situation that we've been using, then that person would only get $27,000 a year or $2,200 a month. This chart, it shows you exactly the difference between the federal government pension and some of the better state pensions. However, the one thing that a federal government job has is a higher average salary. The average salary right now is around $100,000 a year. Now, there are a lot of other states that have great benefits. They have great pensions as well. And when you go to the state website, the calculations can get a little difficult at times, especially with New York. There's so many rules on how to calculate the pension. You want to take a list like this, take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research to see what state is probably the best for you. And you don't just want to stop at state government. Don't just stop at federal and state. Look at county and city also. There was a guy I worked with in the military. He worked at his city for 5 years, and he had a pension that he was collecting while he was in the military. He was active duty military as a cook, and he was collecting a pension of about $600, $650 every month because he was the recreational manager for his small city, and he did that for several years. So the same thing could be the case in your city. Look at those opportunities, county opportunities. Those can be quite lucrative as well. As you probably know, I'm a huge advocate of jobs and careers that have pensions. Because when you give an organization everything from your time, energy, your attention, everything, they should be able to give you something back. They shouldn't be able to just kick you to the curb and forget about it. Because you can't get your time back. So there should be something valuable that you're working towards. And then that allows you to be able to retire with dignity so that you have a stream of revenue in your old age. And that's what a pension does. It allows that situation to exist. Not everybody is savvy with the stock market, with investing into index funds, and depending upon market conditions when they retire. And if market conditions are not right, you could be out 50% of your money. That's not the ideal situation, not for you, because there is an option, at least right now. As we're talking about it, there is that option. Take advantage of it. Now, if you're new to applying to federal government jobs, you probably have a lot of questions on your mind about the federal hiring process. Let's say the interview, maybe salaries. I did a live stream recently and I covered over a dozen questions. A lot of these questions could be on your mind. So if you're interested in that, I want you to check this video out next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.